Well, I identify my blind date as December 22nd, 2016. That was the day that I went to work. At that point in time, I was working at a place called Volunteers of America. I was a Social Security payee coordinator. People who cannot handle their own money, we got their Social Security, we paid their rent, we paid their utilities, and gave them a small stipend weekly if they had the money, which is very computer driven. And I went on December 22nd, turned on my computer, and I could not find the cursor, period. Could not find it at all. I'd already blown up the screen to have more magnification. So then I really knew I had a problem.
Hello, and welcome to That's Just Human, a podcast that explores all aspects of being human, living in a human body, and exploring life's obstacles. I'm your host, Elisha Light Angel, and by day, I'm a massage therapist, and just like you, I also happen to live inside of a human body and have human experiences. Today, my podcast is going to be slightly different than my normal format where I interview people on the computer. I have somebody in person, and I'm not 100% set up for two people, so we're sharing one microphone and just using my little webcam. Use what you got to make what you can.
Absolutely.
So today I would like to introduce to you one of my friends, Mark Christian, and we'll be diving into his story on having been a sighted person to now being an unsighted person and the obstacles that has presented in life from that point until now. So please welcome my good friend, Mark Christian.
Thank you, Elisha.
You're welcome. I'm really glad to have you and explore doing a podcast in a completely different format today.
I'm always the round peg in the square hole.
I'm here for it. So, you are currently blind.
Mostly blind.
And can you explain that first before we kind of get into the history on how that works out? Because I think people have a misconception about what blindness is.
I have severe vision loss, and actually historically people have called it being legally blind. But now they're in the blind community, they're referring to it as very low vision. And that's what I have. I have very low vision. Like if I turn to you, I can see that you have blonde hair, but I couldn't tell you the color of your eyes. I can see that you're wearing kind of a purple, I think, dress or a pinkish dress or something like that, but I can't see the details of it. I see nothing out of my left eye except a little bit of glare in the far corner. In my right eye, I've got about 2/3 of the field of view in the upper half. And they tell me statistically that my eyesight is generally 2600, although I've got one little pocket, if I look like right at that light, that I can see a little bit better. And that they say that's about 2120. So I really don't see much. And so that's the nature of I don't see anything down. So when I'm walking, I can't see what's at my feet at all. So that's why I use the blind cane mostly when I walk. And I do use the blind cane a lot, the white cane with the red tip. But I am not totally blind. And some people just figure out that since I've got that cane that I'm totally blind, and I'm not. That's a little secret I like to keep to myself sometimes. There have been sometimes I'll be going somewhere and someone has pulled into the crosswalk waiting to turn. And I'm coming and they just sit there. And so being a little bit of a pain in the butt sometimes, I have been known to walk into their car even though I knew it was there because their car was somewhere where it shouldn't have been.
Okay.
So I just have my cane and I just walk right into them even though I knew it was there to give them the point. I bet the next time they pull a foot too far into the intersection, they might think about it. So that's my little manipulation. So anyway, that's kind of the nature of what I can see.
Interesting. Yeah, I know I had misconceptions, and then I met you, and you kind of explained that to me, and I've heard some other people that share their story on the internet, and there's a whole range of what blindness can entail for a person, and I would imagine that there's other people that are, partially sighted like you are, where they can see just a little bit, but not enough to fully function the way the rest of us do in the world, that also use a cane.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good form of letting people know.
Well, and actually, oftentimes that's what I'm using the cane for. It's not really to help me so much as to help the person who sees me understand that I have a special need. Because particularly if it's somewhere that I've been many, many times, I really don't need the cane. I know what the trip hazards are there. I know to watch for the curb. I know to watch for the threshold of the door. I know that there's going to be a rug when I step inside and make sure that I don't catch my toe on it, that sort of thing. But the cane is really useful if I'm going somewhere I haven't been before. But if it's somewhere, I will still use it sometimes just to help people who don't know me know that I'm having a challenge.
Yeah, neat. So let's go back and talk about the incident that brought you from having sight to losing most of it.
Well, I identify my blind date as December 22nd, 2016. That was the day that I went to work. At that point in time, I was working at a place called Volunteers of America. I was a Social Security payee coordinator. People who cannot handle their own money, we got their Social Security, we paid their rent, we paid their utilities, and gave them a small stipend weekly if they had the money, which is very computer driven. And I went on December 22nd, turned on my computer, and I could not find the cursor, period. Could not find it at all. I had already blown up the screen to have more magnification. So then I really knew I had a problem. Now, in the years that pass, I have come to recognize that my blindness had started about a year earlier.
Okay.
I did it many times as that one date, but I realized that I was driving somewhere and I had just a really strange feel, like a little mini quake, and my eyes felt funny. And I didn't think much about it. And then something else happened, and I had some visual issues, and anyway, so really looking at it, I realized that this was increasingly a problem over a course of about a year. And one of the other clues that should have been to me is I kept running into things with my car. I had no sense of where the left edge of my car was, and I hit a lot of curbs, hit a couple of cars. But being, strong and macho and guy, I'm not going to give up driving until I realized I really did have a problem. So it was December 22nd, and interestingly on that panel, on that idea, it was about in April, a few months later, that I realized that I'd known my driver's license was about to expire. And well, you got to have an ID. I lived about 2 blocks from a tag agency, so I went and got in the line to get my ID. And they said, "Do you want to renew your driver's license?" I'm standing there with my white blind cane, and they're asking me if I want to renew my driver's license. And I said, "No, I don't. I tried to drive, and no, I'm not going to do that anymore." So we'll still renew it until because they declare you legally blind, but then they never revoke your license. It's just the irony of it. But they were going to give me a new driver's license just because I was standing there.
That is wild.
That's problematic, yeah.
That is problematic. Yeah, I don't think anyone that has too much vision impairment should be driving on the road.
Yeah, well, and I did investigate what the limits are. In Oklahoma, anyway, there's a statement. I don't remember what the stats are, but how much angle of vision you get. You have to get a certain amount of angle of vision to be able to maintain your driver's license, and obviously certain acuity, which I know I couldn't pass, but I was just surprised that day. But really, we'll shift gears here a little bit. Shortly after I lost my sight, I was getting a ride with a friend, and he said, "Are you mad at God because you lost your sight?" And I said, "Why in the world will I be mad at God that I lost my sight?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know." So, well, I figure unless I'm giving blessings to God for everything in the world that happens to me, I can't be upset when something negative happens to me. That's just part of the deal. That's just human, and he didn't see. He also didn't understand that my notion of God was not one who jumps in and deals in the affairs of human beings. I don't believe in that kind of God who is involved in the day-to-day life of people or even the world. I tend more with the deists and the clockmaker God kind of idea that everything was set in motion and it's our job to figure out how to live it. So, but really the cause of my blindness was my own damn arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
In 2015, I lost a ministry position where I was, largely because 2 years earlier I had been drinking too much. I developed an alcoholic problem. Went to AA for about 5 years, and I learned what was pushing my buttons and how to control it, so I don't go to AA anymore, but I certainly am high on the project. Maybe that's not the right word. I'm favorable on AA and the 12 steps. I think they're very valuable, but I got what I needed from it and stepped aside. But one of the things that I recognized is that in that year from 2015 to 2016, I had been even before that, I'd been punishing myself for being so stupid, for allowing this to happen to me, to destroy my marriage and destroy my career. And I did stupid things like stop taking my blood pressure medicine. I had taken my blood pressure medicine shortly before that incident, and it was 220 over 180.
Wow, that's high.
That's stroke territory. I was lucky that my stroke hit me in the eye. My blindness is caused by a stroke on the optical nerve. My eyes work, it's just that the nerve connection on this side doesn't go anywhere. And so I'm since back on my medications, and I'm now running about 110 over 65. So my blood pressure is great these days. But it was like it was a way of punishing myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you screwed this stuff up, so now you just really need to pay for it, Mark. Yeah. So that's the basic outline of what my story is.
Okay, so you had mentioned having a slight little pain in your eye somewhere in 2015, just this little jolt. Do you think that was a stroke?
Yeah.
Okay.
At first I thought I had one big stroke, but over time I recognized that I'd had 5 or 6 small ones, which were caused by my lack of attention to myself. But I also, in having years of looking back on that period just before, in the year before that, or the year and a half before that, I had 3 major falls in the home where I hit my head real hard. One, it was icy, and I was taking the trash out, and our driveway had a little slope to it, and I went down and hit my head on the ground really hard there. And then we were getting ready to sell our house, and I was cleaning with a swimming pool, and I was down in the bottom trying to scrub the junk out of it, and it was slick, and I hit my head on the swimming pool. And then I was at my job as well, and I was trying to do something, and this is how it all gets so complicated, or so human, as you might say. That was the day that my divorce happened, and I had a picture of my ex-wife up on the credenza where I worked up above the computer station, and I couldn't reach up there. I'd gotten it up there, so I said, I know there's a way that I can get up there. I must have used a chair, which I did. But instead of using the chair I'd done before, I used my little office chair, which was rolling and whatnot. And so I was trying to step on that and then fell back and hit my head. So I can see that in the year or so prior to this December 22nd event, 3 major times where I probably had a concussion and never checked on it, because I'm a guy. I'm a big guy. I'm fine. I'm tough. I can shake it off. Now that might have worked when I was 15 or 20, but at age 60, it wasn't so effective.
That makes sense. So, can you kind of describe where your emotional state was battling with knowing that, wow, I've really lost my sight now?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there was a part to it that was kind of a relief, because I knew what my situation was, but emotionally, once it happened, I really haven't had too much trouble. But actually, lately, I've been having a little challenge, just getting frustrated at the things that I can't do or have a difficulty with. But generally, I think it's just fine. I mean, things happen to everybody, and if everybody, I don't try to bring any more attention to my blindness than I have to, other than the occasional use of the cane or walking into a car. But I just don't see that as a big deal. Everybody has things. We all have stuff. We all have problems. We all have setbacks, and I just take it as that. One thing I did discover, and I did discover this early on, within a month or so after losing my sight, is I decided that I've got a choice. I've been knocked down. Do I get up or give up? And that's the question I ask myself all the time. Do I get up and do it again, get up and go after it again, or do I give up? And most of the time I decide to get up and go. There's a few days that I go, I just can't take this anymore. And like I said, lately I've been having a little more struggle with my lack of vision as I'm maturing into it. I've got 9 years of it now, since I lost my sight coming up in December. But no, it's just part of the deal. Nobody's promised to get out of here in perfect shape. Maybe a few do, but I'm not going to get out of here in perfect shape. So,
Very true. So, what have been some of the challenges that you faced in having to adjust, like, I guess, everything that you do in life?
Different, yeah. One of those realities I had to accept, and that was hard for me because I had very poor patience problems. Wasn't patient at all. Everything takes me longer. Everything. For example, you came over to pick me up at my house to come over here to record this, and it probably took me 2 minutes to get into the car with your help. Everything takes me longer, and having to accept that everything is just going to take me longer, and I can either worry about it or I can just accept that it'll happen when it happens. And that's one of those first things. I ran into a number of challenges. Shortly after losing my sight, I was living in a 24-story apartment building in downtown Oklahoma City, which was fine. I liked that really well. But I had to go to the grocery store. And so I would take the bus to the grocery store because I don't drive, And but I had sacks that I would take with me. And the first time or two, I tried to get by in the store by myself. Realized I couldn't do it. And then I started going up to the office and asking for them to have someone shop with me. And they kind of looked at me one time and said, well, we don't really do that. I said, look at it this way. You can either spend 15 minutes helping me shop or an hour and a half cleaning up after me when I knock over every end cap in the darn store because I can't see them. And when I rearrange everything trying to figure out which was the nacho cheese Doritos and which was the Cool Ranch. So you can either help me for 15 minutes or clean up the store for an hour and a half after I've gone. You decide. But no, shopping was a challenge. I now use one of those that deliver my groceries, and so I can use my phone through my voiceover in my phone and have it talk to me, and I can order my groceries and have them delivered to the house. And sometimes I get a little surprised. Sometimes what I think was going to be for example, I got some bacon bits, and I thought it was the little package like that. Well, it turns out it was like a 1 pound package of bacon bits. Big old thing. So sometimes I get surprised like that, but then I don't quite get what I think I'm ordering. But that's par for the course. Everybody in life discovers they don't always get what they're ordering.
That is true. There's at least once, if not multiple times.
Yeah.
Stores, fast food restaurants, regular restaurants.
You call this a Reuben? Yeah. I will tell you one success that I'm having here. And this is really the most exciting place in my life right now, is that I've started playing bridge again. I played bridge starting at age 18, and I quit playing bridge a lot until the computers came along, and then I started playing bridge online a lot. But when I lost my sight, I could no longer do that. And I found a group here in Stillwater who does it's called duplicate bridge, and it's a competition form of bridge where you're actually playing other partnerships and you score each other on the same hands so you can actually compare. But this group has, by the time I came in, there are now 3 of us who have visual difficulties. So they'd already run through some of this. For example, at the tables they've got an extra light they can put next to me, so I've got a chance of seeing what my hand is. And but they also, in duplicate, you put the cards into a board so that the hands stay consistent. Now, it's challenging for me to take those cards and order clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades, numerically and things like that. So what the group has done is that before they move on, they sort the cards into the order. So when all of us pull out our cards, they're already sorted and separated, which is an enormous help to me and to them, because I could do that myself, but it would take me another 3 to 4 minutes to get my hands set. And it's just be just too much when you play 25 hands and take 3 extra minutes per hand. That's a lot of time.
Do they make textured cards?
Not that I know of. I did get a set of cards that are designed high visibility. Uh, what they do on that one, as well as having big numbers and letters, is they've added 2 different colors. Spades are still black and hearts are still red, but diamonds are green and clubs are blue.
Okay.
So that you've got different colors, or maybe clubs are 11, yellow, I don't remember which. But so there are things to do. And this is a great time to be blind. My phone has got all kinds of practical applications. One I really like is called Seeing AI.
What does that do?
Well, I point my phone at something and it tells me what I'm looking at.
Oh.
It can read to me a label. It can read to me something. It's kind of tedious to use, but it works. Plus, my phone has voiceover, so it will tell me what I need to know instead of me reading it, and voice to text. I have joked many, and there's other ones in there that are very good, very helpful. If you have vision loss and you're having challenges, there's a lot of technology out there that's free. These don't even cost you anything to get. So that's an important step there.
So are these all apps you've had to download on your phone?
Well, the basic iPhone operates with the voiceover is in there, and the text to message is in there already. So that's built into the iPhone. There are a couple of them that I had to download. Yeah, Tap is one. Like I said, Seeing AI. I've got several. One of the things that I've come to observe is that there's never been a better time in the world to be blind. But then again, there's never been a better time in the world to have cancer. There's never been a better time in the world to be whatever it is that you've got, to have your leg broken. This summer I fell and broke my arm. Snapped it right here. They cut me open all the way down my arm, but I didn't have to have a cast. Because I'd laid there, this was July, I was laying there on the concrete hot, going, oh my God, I'm going to have a cast from my wrist to my shoulder for 10 weeks. What a way to spend the summer. But they didn't put a cast on at all. They just opened me up and did it. So there's never been a better time to have all kinds of things. But there's never been a better time to be blind. And I think my stepfather has profound hearing loss. And I think I am far less isolated than he is. Mm. I think hearing loss is far more isolating than vision loss. Just simply because he can see what's happening in one direction, and I can't that. But I can hear what's happening in all directions, and he can't hear that at all. So there's all kinds of disabilities. Like I said, nobody gets out of here alive. When I first lost my sight, I got on board. Actually, the social workers told me that I was much faster at coming to this conclusion than most people are. Because within a month of losing my sight, I was already in contact with Oklahoma Department of Rehabilitative Services, the visual loss department. And they said, wow, most people wait 6 months or a year before they call us and realize, no, I recognize that I'm living alone, I got to have some help. And I've got a big walking cane that I used for many years, hiking cane, big wood rod, about 4.5, 5 foot tall, something like that. And that's what I was using to get around, because I knew I needed to know where I was and have something. Because the other thing I'd say is that the only thing worse than my equilibrium is my depth perception. Oh, yeah. So equilibrium was a problem with me too. So I was using that to support myself. And I'd gone to, they had a course at the rehab services here on blind education. I said, hell, I thought I taught myself to be blind all by myself. No, I had to go to school for it. No, but as I was there using that, she said, well, why don't you use a blind cane? I said, well, I've never had one. And she said, I don't think I really want to do that. I don't want everybody to know. And she looked at me. This is another person who has vision loss. So, I still will talk about looking and seeing and things like that. She said, you're the only one who doesn't know that you're blind. When you run around with that, everybody can tell you're blind. Just by the way you have to look at people, you're not looking at, except if the camera's there, that should be about straight on looking at the camera, but I can't see it at all. So no. I've got to turn it 30 or 40 degrees to be able to see. So when they realize that you're running around with your head cocked all the time and that you don't really see details. So she said, yeah, the only person you're fooling with that cane is you. Mm. So I did that. So.
Is that a pride thing?
Yeah, pride, necessity, male arrogance, don't want to show vulnerability. And I am concerned about it sometimes because I realize that running around with a blind cane does put a mark on me. Someone knows they pretty easy to take advantage of me. So I've thought about all the ways I could use my cane to cane kwando,
Have you had an experience where someone's tried to? Oh, well, that's great.
No. But it's a fear that goes through your head.
Yeah.
Much like, any woman who goes through a dark parking lot are going to be tensed up and be ready, and think about what their options were. And that's kind of what I did. Yeah. But anyway, it's the reality of it. But yeah, the only person I was fooling with that big walking stick was me.
So was your equilibrium in conjunction with losing some of your sight, due to the stroke?
Yeah, well, just due to the loss of sight. I can't see the horizon. So, what is up is just what feels up, and sometimes I'm off. And plus, if I stand up quickly, I tend to go in little circles until I balance myself out. But it was tied to the same thing.
And as you've progressed with having this and getting older, has the equilibrium balance or unbalance increased? And just because I've heard that as we get older naturally, that we start to lose some of that balance.
Yeah, I'm sure it has. This happened. I lost my vision when I was 58, and I'm now 68. And I'm sure just that 10 years passage would have a piece of that. But I don't really think it's gotten. My vision is getting worse. I can look back at what I could see when I first lost my vision and remember that and what I see now, and they're not the same. So my vision is declining. But they tell me there's nothing to be done for me. There's no surgery. There's no meds that I can take that'll improve my vision. Until they're ready to be able to transplant optical nerves, there's nothing that can be done for me. And there may be some work out there, but nothing that I've heard of, and none of the people that my social workers have heard about. There's still an anecdote along the way here. This last May, I went to a conference of blind people. It was called it was a conference of blind people from Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. And I did discover the old saying that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. It's true. Because I am the one-eyed man, and there were a bunch of the people that I was interacting with were totally blind, and we would go places, and I would help direct them. Oh, wow, I can tell you where we're going. We're going another 30 feet down the hall, and then we're going to turn left. So I did discover that adage is true. Then in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So
Interesting. What was it like being in a conference with a bunch of other people with the same disability?
It was really affirming. Being around people who, some of them have dealt with their vision since birth. Some of them have lost theirs far more recently than mine. Different people on different spectrums, different amount of loss. People with dogs, people with canes, people who rely on a person taking them by the elbow to go anywhere. It was just very humbling and very, very notion of a community there. And there's a group of blind people who I know who they get together every Monday night and they play games on the computer.
Oh, how fun!
They have a game night. I have never sat in on it, but I know it's there. But so there's a lot of things going on. I really want to try and find a beep baseball game where the ball beeps and you try to swing at it.
Oh,
that's out there.
Neat.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. But there's not enough blind people in Stillwater to do that. So I'm sure there's somebody else in Stillwater running around here using a blind cane, but so far I'm the only one that I've seen anyway.
Well, they do have the talking crosswalks here.
Yeah, well, they have some.
Well, I've never actually experienced the talking crosswalk until I moved here, and I lived in a big metroplex, the FW, and they just weren't there. And so the first time I'm hearing it, do not cross. It sounds like it's being really rude to you because it keeps repeating over and over.
And then it'll go 10, 9,
yes,
8. Yeah. I lived in downtown Oklahoma City, and they were there. But I haven't found one here in Stillwater, so I want to know where that one is. I can go find it. Appreciate it. But yeah, those are very helpful. But it's still a matter of risk, Just because it tells me to walk doesn't mean it's safe to walk. That's like just because the light turns green, do you think it's safe to enter the intersection?
Not always.
Yeah, you better check before, even though you know you've got the green light. If you don't want to get hit, you better check because somebody may not be looking. So and I've had a couple of incidents with cars. I had one that I'd gotten out at my apartment, and there was somebody who'd gone into a place and pulled into it where it was set for no parking, and I was walking behind his vehicle, and he backed up, and I mean, I landed on the end of the vehicle and just pounded it. 'Cause I was afraid I was going to fall down and he'd back over me. I've had a time or two, one walking in a 7-Eleven parking lot. Parking lots are awful. There is no way to get from the street to the store without crossing traffic. And as you may well know, people in convenience store parking lots often aren't paying much attention. And I had a time when a guy was backing right into me, and I slapped his car because he was in it. He said, "What are you hitting my car for?" I said, "Because you were about to hit me." "No, you can't hit my car." I said, "Well, you go ahead and hit me and see what happens to you." Because I actually have special rights with my blind cane. You get penalized more for hitting me, or as the joke used to, you get more points for hitting me. No, it's a stiffer penalty if you hit a blind person who's using a cane. It's an extra level of fine, which doesn't help me necessarily. But
is there any kind of message you could leave for the listeners, that maybe something that you wish people could be more mindful of in paying attention to people that have a visual disability?
Parking lot hygiene, parking correctly, putting your carts up instead of leaving them out in the middle. Another one that I had to learn is chair hygiene. It's really difficult for me when people sit at a chair and pull it out and then don't push it back in again. It's real easy for me to run into that. Those are the things that most specific. They're just to recognize someone's struggling and to give them more time, to not get, because the person can't jump the second that you see it happening, to be a little more patient, to understand that you never really know what's going on inside a person. And so to be kind and be appropriate in dealing with human beings generally, that's the best way to be so human. That's just human.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing I would note is we know each other because I'm a minister, as I noted earlier, and I learned to preach without a manuscript. I spent 25 years preaching from a manuscript, and now, as you know, I can't read any notes. I can't read a manuscript, so I just have to get my ideas oriented in my head and get up and tell forth. And so it's been an interesting experience for me to learn to do that, and I'm really appreciative of it because I think that it's a better way for me to communicate than when I was writing a manuscript. It's more in the moment. It's more direct. It's more human. Anyway, that's just the other thing I would kind of note there.
Have you had to enhance your memory capabilities to hold this information? Because when you do, you have different quotes, you have different things that you're repeating that one would have to memorize.
Well, and a lot of that is like someone will ask me, how long would it take you to write a sermon? And I would say anywhere between 20 minutes and 68 years. You pull out of your whole life experience. And a lot of these quotes are ones that I've known for many years, and or I run into something, or like I was thinking today about your podcast, and I said, now who was it who said the quote, I am a human, therefore nothing human is alien to me? And it was the Roman playwright Terence.
Okay.
So his comment was, I am human, therefore nothing in the human experience is alien to me. And to find things like that and be able to memorize it, to drop on you in this situation. But I've had to learn to do it differently because I now, when I preach, kind of understand myself as having stepping stones. I know where I am, and I kind of know where I want to go. And this is going to be the stepping stone I'm going to use to talk about this, and there's a stepping stone over here, and then I'm going to jump over to this one, and I might have to come back a step and then jump 2 forward. So I kind of visualize what I do as having stepping stones across a pond or a stream or a creek or something like that.
Cool. So is there anything else in your story or the last 9 years that you would like to touch on that I haven't asked a question about?
One of the things that I have noticed is because I have no ability to read body language. I just can't see people's bodies well enough. And you may think that most of communication is verbal, but I can tell you that it's not. a great deal of it is nonverbal, and I have difficulty time with that. So there have been times when I've been angering someone, and I don't know it because they're showing the normal signs of crossing their arms. I can't tell what's going on. So I was in a group with one person, and I could tell that I was driving her crazy. And I said, if I'm driving you crazy, just come over and slug me in the shoulder, and I'll stop. And she did. And I said, did that feel better? She said, yeah. I said, good. No, I just understand that everybody's got their challenges. We all have our challenges. Some of them can be seen, some of them can't be seen, but they're all real nonetheless.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elisha. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, I have one more question for you. I would like you to give a gift of wisdom from your life. It could be anything dealing with this, anything earlier in your life, just a bit of wisdom that you want to leave the listeners with.
I think I would go back to that statement that came to me right after losing my sight. I've been knocked down. I have a choice. Get up or give up. And as long as you keep getting up, you don't give up. That's been my motto. And really I learned that from my mother. She was a single mom raising kids. She'd been hit hard, and she just had to get up every day to keep things going. You don't get the chance to not get up. So get up or give up. That's the whole point.
I like it. Get up or give up. Good advice.
Thank you.
Well, I really appreciate you coming over and even giving me a little challenge today and doing a podcast in a different format and way that I have normally been doing it.
Change is good, they say.
Yes. Well, I get into my little systems and I have the system and it's down and I know what I'm doing. So this is it's still in the system, but a little outside of the system.
I've always been a round peg in a square hole.
Yep. Well, thank you so much. To my listeners, as you embrace your humanness, be kind, be you, and remember, everything is part of the journey.